Okay, thank you for joining me today, everyone. It's Takesha of Afro Canna Holistic and Black Women Who Blaze, and I'm here with another feature for, of course, Women's History Month, and I love to highlight women doing great things, especially in cannabis. And today I have Miss Drea. You know, I know you as Drea Woods, and she is a fellow CCI graduate. So I'm excited about that, you know, to get her featured on the platform. And she's going to share with us her journey, her cannabis journey, and about her business, Jauna University. And so without further ado, how are you today, Drea? Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Takesha, thanks for having me. I'm doing very well. So excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I had a full weekend, so I'm still recouping from last weekend. But I appreciate you taking the time to come on and tell everyone on the platform what you do in this space in cannabis and share a little bit about your journey and whatever else, you know, all the things, because you got a lot going on. So share all the things with us. So if you're new to the platform, anyone watching this, Black Women Who Blaze was created to provide visibility for Black women in the cannabis space, whether you are a consumer and you consume for medicinal purposes and you want to tell your story, you are an employee in the cannabis industry or an entrepreneur. We want to hear your story. We want you to share your experience and encourage more of us to come out and get involved in this industry. And so I'm going to start with, letting you kind of introduce yourself and a little bit about your professional background.
Yeah. Drea Woods. I am from St. Louis. That's home. I love St. Louis. If you know people from St. Louis, we love talking about St. Louis. But I'm currently based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where my mom lives. She owns a business on Black Wall Street called The Lock Shop on Black Wall Street. So yes, if you're ever in Tulsa, need your locks done, but you got to book her 2 months out because that's how busy she stays. But we're from St. Louis. She's lived down there for over 2 decades now. The pandemic sent me down there. And that really, when I think about like my decision to get into the industry, that's at the beginning of, not the beginning, somewhere in 2020 during the pandemic, that's when I started to envision myself and really start to make moves as someone who's going to be a part of the cannabis industry. But just to rewind a bit, St. Louis is home. I was a teacher for 10 years after college, traditional teacher. I taught mostly middle school, English and social studies, but also taught abroad. I lived in Bangladesh for a year. I worked a gap year program in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Peru. So I am a world traveler. I love to travel. I've worked outdoorsy programs with different outdoor education organizations, and I have a love for nature. And so I own 2 businesses, Black to Nature, which is one, which I'll mention a little bit. It's really the overarching one, but legal laws. And so Black to Nature is just curating retreats for the outdoorsy Black enthusiasts to travel around the US and abroad and experience nice and relaxing nature events. And Jauna University is for those who want to get Black to natural plant medicine and heal and enjoy and get some spiritual elevation and all the good things we'll talk about.
Oh my goodness, it sounds wonderful. And the fact that you just traveled so many places, like I applaud you for going ahead and forging and doing the thing, because a lot of times we don't travel, or we don't know that we have that, accessible to us. It seems like it's so costly. It seems like it's, I don't know anybody out there. So we have that fear, of, our safety and, how we're going to be treated. So, it's a wonderful resource for those of us who want to travel and, have yet to, me being one of them, I have not went abroad yet. Like this year is going to be my first year going abroad. I've been around the US, but I haven't been abroad. And then the awesomeness of your mother being historically on Black Wall Street, like that's just awesome. And then, being a loctician too, natural hair girl, you speaking my language. You speaking my language.
Yes. I knew you would love it.
Right. You speak my language. So I love it. And the fact that you curate retreats. That's another area that
Yes.
people don't know we can kind of get into as
Yes.
well. And I
Yes.
see a lot of them asking, I see a lot of it now where they're asking us to kind of come to Costa Rica and do retreats and other different areas as
Mm-hmm.
well. But
Mm-hmm.
you just don't know. It's like, oh, how do I do that? So you being a
Exactly.
resource of, okay, this is how you can do it, girl. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
you're the plug
That's it.
now.
Come on,
So
y'all. Let's do it.
okay, and so you already mentioned what state you were located in, but
Mhm,
is it recreational or medicinal there? Are you a
mhm.
medicinal card holder?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, when I was living down in Oklahoma, so Oklahoma had passed a medical marijuana program in 2019. And folks who follow the cannabis industry, you might have seen a lot of things about the green, Oklahoma is the new green rush, right? Because it was like only $2,500 to get a license. It's pretty easy laws. The laws are written by activists. Yeah. And Oklahoma is funny because they tried to put the vote went to the people. They put it on an off election, expecting people not to come out, but the legislation was written by activists, cannabis activists. People came out and voted for it. And so there was this basically almost felt like a free for all.
Wow.
And yeah, so it just blew up so quickly, grew really fast. It was a great place to really be and see a medical marijuana program operate. And on the patient side, there weren't any restrictions. Like there weren't any, like you didn't have to have a specific health reason to
Right.
get a medical card.
That's awesome.
So what'd you say?
I said that's awesome.
Yeah. And so and all of us was trying to figure out how to live life during the pandemic. So I went and got my medical card, and that honestly changed my life forever. It changed my path completely.
Wow, wow. And people, I was saying, I think in Slack, someone mentioned Oklahoma, and a friend of mine was thinking about relocating there, and they were giving like a stipend or something for people to
Hmm.
relocate to Oklahoma and Tulsa specifically. And I was
Yep.
just like, I don't know, because of the history, like how's the
Hmm.
climate there? That was
Hmm.
the concern. But I mean, it sounds like, things are popping out there, it's thriving.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna have issues anywhere you go, but I'm definitely gonna have to make a trip to Tulsa,
Yes.
Oklahoma and see what's going
Let me
on.
know. Even if I'm nomading, my mom will be there. So I'll have to connect you with her because she'll tell you, like in her lock shop, she has a big mural dedicated to the history of Black Wall Street. And so she's like, she'll be twisting locks and giving you a history lesson at the same time.
Right. Oh, she sounds
But
like a woman of my own heart. Like that's
uh,
me.
uh, but I honestly, Tulsa, so if anyone wanted to know, the program where you can get the $10,000 stipend is called Tulsa Remote. And so if you're an entrepreneur or you work remote and you want to live in Tulsa for a year, you go there, you do it, and you can read up on their website, but they're called Tulsa Remote. And I have a couple friends who are Black women and Black men that have come through that program and speak highly of it. And so that's one option. And then the other thing, as far as like the community there, because my mom is really rooted in a Black community there. We're as a family, we will always be rooted in whatever Black community in whatever
Right.
town we're in. So it's not as, like you said, there's things everywhere and people find their pockets. It's segregated like most cities. And so
Yes.
we stay in our community with our people. But
Right.
I mean, sometimes you got to go to the Walmart, or I don't even shop at Walmart, Target in the white community. Nobody like, it's not tense. It's not
Right.
like KKK or anything out
Right.
there. No worries. Yeah, I
Right,
feel
right,
safe moving around.
right, right. It's right. That was it. The history is the history. Things have changed.
Hmm.
I mean, it's
Yep.
down to they can't hold the good people down. That's it.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Bottom line, we just keep coming back.
Yep.
So
Yep. The
I
resilience
appreciate
is
that.
there
Yes,
for
yes,
sure.
yes. And so, how long have you been consuming cannabis?
Hmm. So I definitely dabbled. I think most people might have a high school story, right? But I
Right.
wasn't really smoking. I was a social smoker more in college, if it was around. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say no.
Right.
But honestly, I didn't feel much. I didn't feel much in college. I didn't feel much. There was like one time post college where like we probably smoked a little too much. You got your first story, you're like, oh,
Right.
okay. But it wasn't until 2020 where when I got my medical card and I was I'm a microdoser, and I think that's part of as I'm developing my story. My origins are not developing, but like putting the words to everything that I went through. Of like, yeah, everybody's not a heavy smoker. And I think that's
Right.
sometimes as I'm getting into the industry, it feels like you have to be like big blunts, blah, 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 all the joints. And I'm like, no, because honestly, for me personally, and this is what I love about CCI, is about they teach us to teach our clients to know their bodies, to know themselves, to know the plant. And everybody's body is different and will react different to the different types, to the plant in the different forms that you get the plant in, you consume the
Yeah.
plant in. So for me, I'm a microdoser, I'm learning my limits, and it feels good. It feels really good to be like, this feels good. This is causing me to my anxiety to lessen, my depression to hide somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I can go about my days.
Yes, yes, yes. And for anybody wondering what we're talking about when we say CCI, we're talking about the Cannabis Coaching Institute. That is where we became connected. And if you are
Mhm.
interested in becoming a cannabis health coach, I will make sure I put a link in the description. It's my affiliate link, so I will get some kickback if you decide to join. Um, so, how has cannabis impacted your life?
Mhm. I think that question is an interesting question because I feel like some folks may have like a family story, right? And I think I have a family story, but some Black families don't really be want to tell their stories.
Right, right.
So I'm gonna do some digging when I get back home. But I as far as impact in my life, I just think health wise, as I came to it in 2020 with my medical card, just really stressed. And um I didn't think I was using it medically in the way that I understand medical use now, having gone through the coaching program.
Mhm.
But it made sense of like when I started intentionally being like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out. I need some cannabis, I need some weed because I need to calm down. And I would feel myself calming down. And then actually I in 2020 I bought a it was I started one of my first businesses, which is actually solely healing, where I make CBD styles. And so I bought some Ardent decarboxylators, an Ardent FX. Well, I started with the Nova and then I bought two FXs because I was like, I can't be making all these styles for people.
Right, right. With one, right.
So, and at first I was just playing around with the Nova, and then I let my cousin try it, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And then I let my sister try it. She was working at Olive Garden, and her feet were hurting. She's like, "Oh my god!" And then my mom, she tried the CBD styles because she's twisting hair, her fingers hurting and everything. She's like, "Oh my god!" And I said, "Oh my god, okay, this works. This real."
That need to be
And
called, oh
and
my
I'm
God.
exactly. My one cousin, she came down for my mom's grand opening of her shop. So her sister was the first cousin I had gave some to. So she said, use this before we go out. So they used it at night, and then they came back and told me the next day. They was like, oh my God, she called it, the new name is the Meg, because it gave her Meg knees last night. She was like, I haven't been able to drop it this low in a minute.
That is
So
so
yeah.
dope. That is so dope. That is so dope. So I was gonna ask what propelled you to kind of get involved in the industry, but I'm hearing like right that you're
Yeah.
starting to see all of these things unfold, and so
Mhm.
it's like, hey, I need to be involved in this space. But
Mhm.
how did you
Mhm.
find your journey to CCI? Like, how'd you become a health coach?
Mhm. So after I quit teaching in 2000, traditional teaching in 2018, and so between the year 2018 2019, I was working this gap year program in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Peru, and at some point, I'm not quite sure, but my mom and I don't know what it was, but we had a conversation about opening up a dispensary in like May 2019. And I was like, okay, well, my mom's a Sagittarius. So she's like, let's go. And I'm a
Right.
Pisces. I'm like, let's think about it.
Right.
So I take the summer to think about it. But as I said, people were rushing to get all the spots, and like there's dispensaries everywhere. Almost as many dispensaries as there are probably churches in Tulsa.
Wow.
In the
Wow.
good old Bible Belt. So it's a while. But
Mhm.
so we were talking about it, and then at some point I found Corinne and Wake and Bake, and just yeah, summer 2020, hopped on one of their seminars. I don't know if I found them or Ardent first.
Okay.
But definitely once I hopped on one of their webinars, we decided not to do the dispensary, my mom and I, because it was the green rush. It was real, very real and very
Yeah.
fast. And yep, and I saw the webinar and I was like, okay, so I don't need a dispensary, but I can still be a part of this industry. And so I did not do it right away because I could not afford the program. However, we fast forward to October 2021, and I'm at a different place in my life. And I'm like, okay, if I don't do this now, when will I ever get the time and space to do it?
Right.
And so I made the leap and signed up. And yeah, now I'm in the industry. I mean, I guess I
Yes.
started with the sales, but and what propelled me to do that was just everybody saying, "Oh my God,
That's right.
this is great."
Right. That's right. That's right. And I agree. Oftentimes we think that those are the only pathways to get involved in the industry, whether it's being a cultivator, a
Mhm,
grower, or owning the dispensary, or now we have to produce a product and try to get it out
mhm,
there. But there are so many other pathways. You can bring your skill set that you already have. You say you were a teacher as well. So
mhm,
how beautiful is that you can kind of bring it into your coaching practice along with the other things that you teach, and
mhm,
add that as a tool for your business. And
mhm,
and and that's exactly what I did, because at first I thought I'd get in really creating edibles, creating infusions, and I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to get this license, and all the barriers, all the money they want.
mhm,
And
mhm.
and if it happens, it happens. If somebody's interested and wants to invest, hey, I'm here. My stuff is bomb, truly. But
Yes.
but but for right now, yes, the space that we're in, I'm loving it, and it's providing a lot of different opportunities. So I'm grateful
Mhm.
for it as
Yeah.
well. And I never even actually saw Wake and Bake, but I did use the calculator at one time. But I
Mhm,
never really got on the website. But being in her email list, that's how CCI came to me. The email. I
mm.
was like, oh, a coach? Yeah, yeah, I could do
Right.
that. Right. Right. So have you found the industry to be equitable?
Well, no. It's the simple answer.
Right.
I
Let's be
mean,
clear.
as a Black woman in the United States of America, any space that is not specifically a Black curated space for us by us is not equitable. And even as much as people try, good meaning people try, but even then it's not about them dropping the ball short. Those spaces are just so far and few between, right? And so like even with Women's History Month, there's a reason why there are affinity spaces, because you just look at the statistics. I follow a lot of, like I follow Marijuana Daily, or I get the newsletters and everything in my
Right.
email inbox. So I read up, and I'm the Pisces, I'm constantly taking in all the information.
Right.
And you just read the stories about how you have to have social equity programs because they didn't even create space for Black folks to get licenses, or people who have been adversely impacted by the industry to get licensed, who have been previously in jail, incarcerated, and now they're out and they can't get access to legally work in this industry. And it doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense because I won't get too much to my personal views, but I mean, but
Right.
this is Black Women Who Blaze,
Right.
if I
That's
could
what
be
I'm saying.
honest.
Right. That you're supposed to be, because that's what we're here for,
If I can speak my truth, the
Right.
system is set up that way. It's set up to keep us out. And so we have to fight harder. But I think the great thing, the shift I see happening for Black folks in I will say the people of the global majority, because I don't like the word minority. We're not the minority in the world. Is figuring out how to meet the needs of our people as opposed to meeting the needs of everybody. Like we don't have to, Yoga University is not for white folks, it's for Black folks. And it's honestly, it's not a BIPOC organization. I want it to be dedicated for Black people. Now, can BIPOC folks participate? I'll definitely, if you up for the cause, and you want to do this work and you really about the people, like, yes, you can come on. But I'm not going to tiptoe around white fragility 100%, because a lot of us, that's one of the reasons I love teaching. And looking at the hearings this week with the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Johnson, of like just seeing how they have done her, and then to feel and remember those flashbacks of how white people have done that to me so many times. I'm the smartest person in the room, and you want to discredit me just because, like, and you think nothing of it. Well, this is just a question process. No, it's racism. Let's call it what it is.
Right. I agree. It is triggering some, some underlying trauma, having to watch her experience that. Because yes, I mean, even, over the weekend, I've had to, really experience, with very few in the room, and me, getting that award and being, kind of questioned about what I'm doing and where I'm, why, you know what I mean? Like,
but it's okay because you got the receipts.
That's it. And I agree that every space, we do have to have our own spaces and places, and they should be supported by everyone, because every other ethnicity and culture creates their own spaces and places, and we don't bother them. You know what I mean? We're not saying that's unfair. We're saying when you say it's a public space, and we try to come in the public space, how you try to exclude us. But if it's a private, and this is something that that is needed just for us, so like this platform, they may feel like, oh, Black women who blaze. Well, yes, because we need the visibility. You guys have it. I'm in groups where, the things that I share don't get posted. I noticed that they're still pending, and I had to actually address it. Like, I'm noticing that the things that I share are not being posted, and you don't have to answer why. I'm removing myself. That's it, But this is clear, that we have to do it for ourselves. That's the one thing that, like you said, we have to provide for ourselves and build our tables and do the things that we need to do to sustain.
And our people want it. Our people want it. And so why wait and let other, white folks create things, and then you have, one Black person in this one majority white, we the pepper and the salt. And when we can feel empowered within ourselves, and I mean, that has, I would say, speaking to anyone who wants to get into the industry and wants to be a business, even if not in the cannabis industry, a business owner, some industry, you got to empower yourself and believe in yourself and say, this is what I want to do, and be persistent. It is, honestly, I started in 2019 with Black to Nature, and Jauna is really new as of December 2021. But I knew what I wanted to do, but then there was a pandemic and it slowed me down. And so I couldn't, be in person with people. And so I had to re-envision new ways to do things. And I also decided I wasn't coming into this industry. Some people, to be an entrepreneur, you got to grind, you got to hustle. I'm not gonna lie. It is work, and it is work. But I decided from the get-go that I was not going to overwork myself. One of my friends, she laughed at me. I made this post. I was like, I'm going to entrepreneur and I'm going to sleep. And she was like, that's my favorite part. I'm going to entrepreneur and I'm going to sleep. And you got to take it. It is a slower build. It's a slower build out than other businesses, but I'm fine with that because that's what works for me. And I encourage anyone else who wants to be an entrepreneur, whether it's in the cannabis industry or not, is find out what works for you. Work at your pace. Don't work on someone else's timeline, even when it comes to getting like funding and things like that. It's not authentic. And come back to your why again and again and again. Like, what is your why for doing this, and how is center yourself in that and let that carry you forward, rather than other things, other people's demands.
Yes. And like you said, for me, I agree slow and steady is how I'm building, I'm here for the longevity and long haul. And,
Yes.
yes, people will put you under pressure. You should be doing this. This is what you got to do. And it's like, I get it, but that's not how I flow, and then I this is how I flow, and my business will reflect that. And even my work, how I help people, what I do will reflect that. So I appreciate you sharing that, because that was definitely going to be one of the things I asked. So what services do you provide at Yogawana?
Yeah, so Yogawana University, right now we have a virtual workshop coming up April 8th through 9th, and it is Yogawana for real self-care. And we're going to explore yoga in a deeper way. So if you've ever practiced yoga asana, went to a yoga class where you did the postures and poses, yoga is an 8-part experience. It's more than just the breath work and the movements. And so we're gonna go deeper into a couple of those other parts of yoga and use that to guide our self-care, while also diving a little bit into cannabis science and learning how to, because I think most people just I have some clients that come to me and they're just like, well, I just go to the dispensary and get what, like they're coming to me because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to get. And so during Yogawana for Real Self-Care, will help people begin to know their bud. It's really know your body, know your bud, so that you can experience intentional healing, spiritual elevation. I think when you combine yoga and cannabis together for a postural session where you're moving and stretching and breathing and also enjoying cannabis, you can, the options are limitless, but one of my personal faves is the spiritual elevation. And so on my personal journey, I think we all have our own lived journey when we think about self-care. And I'll be honest, I've gone to therapy, and at the beginning of my therapy experience, my therapist was like, it seems like you have a spiritual gap. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't until I did my yoga teacher training, I was so excited when I was done with my yoga teacher training. I was like, I found like that gap is no longer there. Like I'm connected. I'm me and the divine. We're good.
Yes.
And then I started practicing yoga with cannabis, an elevated yoga practice. And I said, oh, come through. Yes. So the spiritual elevation piece is my fave.
Yes.
But also I want to say this, I can't guide you to that. You have to do that on your own. That spiritual work is a very intimate and personal and sacred space. I can encourage it. I can give you some prompts. And also, that's why those who have that piece, that spiritual piece, when I think about Yogawana University and our offerings, I think about Black folks who, like on my website, it says like plant loving, horoscope reading, crystal carrying, like all those things. Right. Because there's certain aspects of it where like you can stay baseline or you can go even deeper, but that has to already be part of your path. But yeah, we have Yogawana for real self-care, not just bubble baths and like, I don't even do my nails, but let me hide them.
Right. Right, but that's what people call that's their form of self-care, is that type of thing. And you're speaking to a deeper level, more intimate level, a more separated from the external level. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And then we'll have it'll be it's mimicked after a traditional university setting. So instead of freshman year, it's like cultivation year. And during cultivation year, it's an 8-week coaching program where we get to talk about really dive into cannabis coaching. And there will be some just like wellness, mind, body and soul coaching with another coach I'm coordinating with. And then the two of us are going to go deeper with the second year is elevation year and the last year is liberation year. So it's like cultivate, elevate, liberate.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. And that's the teacher in you. I know. That's right. That's right. That's the setup. Okay. So I love it. And when again does the retreat begin?
Yes, so the retreat begins on April 8th at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It will be recorded, so you'll have access to the videos. And so the first night we'll do a Yoga session, and then the Saturday, it'll be a full day. And we will do 2 more Yoga sessions on that Saturday and go deep into our like cannabis science lessons as well.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So my next question was about support. And so I wanted to ask, do you feel supported in the space since you've gotten involved in the community? You found the cannabis community, the
Mhm,
industry. Are you feeling supported? And how can we on this platform and others watching support you and what you're doing?
mhm. Okay. Oh, before I answer that question, I want to rewind because I have to share this. I'm so excited. Mark your calendars for March 2023. Speaking of traveling, we are going to do our first Yoga retreat in Jamaica. I'm already partnered with a tour agency called Gen Y, and they are really intentional about bringing tourists to local spaces. So getting people off the resorts in Jamaica and getting them into the communities there. And so they have connections with like, we're going to weed farms, we're going to Black to nature spaces that aren't necessarily the big tourist spaces. So it's just gonna be dope. Y'all don't want to miss
Yes,
out. So mark your calendars, March 2023. The
yes.
yoga also offerings, Yoga University also offers retreats.
Yes, yes. Well, that I was gonna say, when you said retreat and the fact that I missed
Yes.
the Jamaica trip with my family this year, and I will be
Oh.
looking forward to that. March,
Mhm.
yes, March of next year. Count me
Yep.
in, okay?
Yes.
Count me in. Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
And that's what I was saying to my mom. Like, did you get to go off resort and go? And she was just
Mhm.
like, no, no, I didn't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I will.
Yep,
I
yep,
will.
yep. Dance halls. If you're ready to come dance, it's gonna be a good time.
Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful, beautiful. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so that I guess is how we can support you.
Mhm.
Sign up for the retreat, especially the one that's coming up April 8th for the weekend. That's gonna be awesome.
Mhm.
And that is virtual,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Mhm.
That is
So you could be
virtual.
anywhere in the world.
Right, exactly. So you can be anywhere in the world and you can experience. And so, what do you want to see happen when federal prohibition ends? Like, do you have anything you desire
Yeah.
to see?
I think the biggest thing is I desire for big corporations to not come in and stump on smaller businesses. The people who've been building and doing this work for so long, who've
Right.
been fighting and advocating. Capitalism in the US is it does what it does. And also I hope big corporations take accountability and responsibility for their actions. And I hope that folks who are advocating now, the smaller people, are advocating in such a way that the laws are written in the um, once legalization happens, that's completely, across the US, that we're prioritizing all the small folks who've been putting in the work and the time and the effort for what the past, for forever,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's definitely one of the things that I want to see, not happen is they think they can come in and take over. We're already hearing about
Mhm,
Monsanto and all of that getting their hands
mhm,
on seeds
mhm,
and stuff. And so,
mhm.
right, it's a plant, it's an herb. We should have access to it to be able to grow it in our gardens like lavender,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
like
Right,
basil, whatever it is, it should not be
right.
so restricted and controlled, and it should be
Exactly.
scheduled already. And also, like you said, I want to see the people who are in prison, the people who have spent years paying for, a crime that now people they have turned into a business and operations and become
Mhm,
millions of
mhm.
billionaires off of, that they be
Exactly.
restorative, there be some restorative justice as well.
Yes. That
Yeah.
I was like, and that's honestly number one. Like that's the first thing that needs to happen
Yeah.
before any of, well, they go to hand in hand, but that needs to be prioritized, point blank, period.
Yes, yes. So what do you see yourself in about 5 years in the cannabis industry?
Yeah. So I have this vision of training, having a Yoga teacher training And what I would like to do is create a network of Yoga teachers around the US that are, yes, supporting folks in different communities. So even though I have the virtual pieces, but there's space for everybody. Like none of us are in competition. If you truly believe that, I truly believe that.
Right.
There's so many people out here that can benefit from bringing yoga and cannabis together. So many people who don't even know that they want to do that. And so you just need more people. So just growing out that network of yoga instructors.
I agree. And that's awesome. That's an awesome vision because like you said, we can't reach everybody. You know what I mean? And so we may reach one just like CCI, they reached us. And now we're able to take this to our community. And we want to do the same. We want to build these businesses and create these spaces where other people can come, learn, and take what they learn and take it to their space and their people and share and teach. So I agree. That's a great vision. So how have you integrated your other skill sets with your cannabis business? Well, I think we covered that. You became a yoga teacher. And, how was that training though? Because I know someone else in CCI who's doing the process now. Is it long? I have considered it, but, I haven't even began yoga, period. So, and I keep saying, I've hit my 40s. And I'm like, I need yoga in my life, but just have not found, the person, I guess, that I'm more comfortable with to help me through the beginning stage, the beginning part of it.
And that's it too. So I'll answer your question, but first, it's really important to find a teacher that you feel like can safely support you. Because you might see people do really super advanced poses. And yoga is very much like cannabis, and this is why they go hand in hand, because you have to know your body. And what you see somebody doing on Instagram, their really intricate pose, is not what you need to be doing, right?
It up like, girl, I'm like,
my body don't do that. And especially like yoga was, even though a lot of the practices, there are African-based practices, but a lot of the practices we see in the US came from India, but it's been colonized. And so you see a lot of these skinny white girls who can ball twist themselves up, and like our bodies are built a little more curvier, And so fun. Like one of my best friends is my client for yoga, and she loves, like, we just be black girl bonnet. We first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. virtual, and we got the bonnets, and we always talking about the curves and the bodies. And so she's like, this is why I love practicing with you, because you get it. I don't have to worry about explaining or worrying if I got to take my bonnet off and get cue for the camera, right? Us.
right. I agree. And I found that there was so many other practices. Like, are there different practices of yoga? Like, I'm hearing so many different things. It seems like a lot to learn.
Yeah, so I could go in with the yoga for a while, but I would say for beginners, if someone wants to start with either a hatha-based yoga style, yin yoga, or a restorative yoga. And so hatha is kind of the core of that. It's not super fast, it's not super slow. Yin is going to slow you all the way down. And it really gets at the fascia and fascia is kind of like the area between the skin and the muscles, and it's an interconnection of cells. And it also it houses a lot of energy and needs to be moved and stretched similar to your muscles. And yin is really great for athletes too, but there's a lot of details and I'm not going to go into but yeah, you can, I'll share some of my Instagram sooner than later. But I love yin if you want to start off, because you get to just learn the poses and hold. And then restorative, you need props. So you can make your own props. There are like yoga props, like bolsters and blocks, but you can use pillows, you can use replacement props and things at home. But what you do, the props, you'll get into a yoga pose. And sometimes, like, if your body can't fold forward as far as you need to, you can use a block to like prop up your head. And so you can go as deep as you can and use the support of the prop. So you're not like forcing it or stretching it or just going too far. So I would start with that. If you're looking for something fast, Ashtanga or Vinyasa is more a couple styles to use. And I would not encourage that for beginners, but that's my personal preference. As someone who's been an athlete all my life, I believe in easing into, my body personally likes to ease into things. I don't like to just jump into the hardest level possible. And so that's how I am as an instructor. I like to work with beginners and ease them into their yoga practice and help them grow with their asanas. But I would say too, their yoga goes as paired. You're familiar with Ayurveda because you just did a episode. So it goes with some components of Ayurveda. And so you kind of have to know your doshas of your body. So technically, even though I prefer Hatha, Yin, restorative, I actually need to be practicing more Ashtanga according to my dosha combination. And so that's another part of like, I would dive into Ayurveda. But the yoga teacher training, there's a couple different styles you can do. There's a lot of different options, but the main two splits are you can do like a longer meeting once a week for 3 or 4 months style yoga teacher training, or you can do an immersion, which is what I did. And I came down to Mexico because they have yoga teacher trainings abroad. And so I did a 3-week program where like you're going from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day for 3 weeks.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah,
That's an
it was
intensive.
intense.
Yeah, that's an intensive, definitely. And yeah, you would need to be away so you can really focus on it. It's beautiful though. And the fact that you put both together, cannabis and movement, that's part of what we coach with. So that's perfect. That's a perfect pair. I do have some yoga blocks because I was not able to, I've tried, but to have someone one-on-one is where I'm gonna have to go, So how can other Black women find opportunity in the space? Something like what you're doing, but just to give them an overview of other areas that they can get involved in, and they really don't have to just, like you said, open a dispensary and be plant touching or create.
I think I've been talking to a couple of my friends about this, and honestly, you just have to come up with an idea and believe that you can do it. And if it's similar to what other folks are doing, be unafraid to ask questions and network. One of the things that I'm working on right now is networking, is reaching out to people. I follow some people, I listen to different podcasts. I mean, getting into the industry is hard, but getting into any industry is hard. And so just find your people, the people that you align with, the people where conversations like this feel easy, full of ease and just natural and aligned, and go down those paths and be ready for the no's, be ready for the like, oh man, I thought this thing was going to happen, but it didn't. Be ready for that. And you hear people say it, you're gonna hear me say it, but it's not until you experience it a couple times and you'll learn if you're supposed to be here, those no's at a certain point are gonna be like, okay, this just is part of the process. This is what they were talking about. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Ready for the next thing. Let's go. Let's get
it. Yes, this is true. I know I'm like others. I can't stand no rejection. Okay. But like you said, if it's for you, it's for you, you'll get the yes. And if it's not, then, it's not a no, it's just a next, what I mean? Next time, next, opportunity, next level, maybe you have to wait. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And I know you had, a beautiful weekend, happy belated birthday, definitely. And I just want you to share, how can you be reached? How can people reach you, share your website, and then I'll definitely put all your details in the description so they can click on the links.
Well, thank you so much, Takesha, for having me here today. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm excited for future partnerships and collaborations because I love all of your advocacy work that I'm learning about that you're doing, and you definitely just congratulations to you on your award this weekend. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah.
And
then, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I definitely was happy to get the award and also get to present, just like you said, at first I thought I was not going to be able to, and the opportunity came and then it didn't. but then it came back around. So like you said, don't give up if this is something you want to do and get into. But again, share your contact, please.
Well, I was wondering, before I do that, can you share more about your award? Like, I saw it on social media, but I'm like, okay, what's the award? I want the details. Since we here, let's tell the people. Let's shout you out.
Yes. So I was nominated for 3 awards. It was the Diversity and Inclusion Individual for at the New England Cannabis Convention in Boston. So they do one every year. They travel around the globe. As a matter of fact, they're going to be in Oklahoma next. And
Okay.
yeah, they're going to be in Oklahoma around 420. And then so I got nominated for that. I was nominated for Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Because Afro-Canna Holistic is not even a year old. I started in June of 2021. June of 2021. So we're coming up on a year anniversary, right?
Yes.
And then I was nominated for Connecticut Cannabis Activist of the Year for 2022, and that's the one I won. And I was, super excited. I was there all by myself, but it is what it is. Sometimes we're going to be in those spaces where it's just us, and we just hold our own. And I was happy to win. So because of all the work that I'm putting in, and everyone supporting me and voting for me, nominating me, and then voting for me. It's a Cannabis Community Award. So it was a community who voted, and everyone at CCI, all of my friends and family, everyone here that see me doing the work, and I appreciate that. I truly do. So that's what it was. And it was a great exhibit, and it had so many different entrepreneurship tracks, and medical card holders came out and spoke. And I met another sister who owns a farm in Mass and a dispensary. And so that was another, connection. Hopefully we can meet up and I can go do a tour of her farm. And so I just can't wait to continue to feature more of us. I'm looking for us so we can have a platform and maybe have our own convention or conference.
That would be so dope. I love that. That's so dope. I was like, I got a couple friends that I would love, because you're in your introduction of like people who just consume. And I'm like, now these are some Black women who blaze. So I'm gonna send them your way.
Exactly, because I feature people with businesses, but I first started with my friends who consume, and they consume because, they have health conditions, MS, fibro, migraines, endometriosis, and things like that. And so, even PTSD and things like that. So, dealing with trauma. And so they consume and they tell their story. And that's what I'm looking for too. You do not have to be an industry professional or even want to be in the industry, but why you consume, why you champion the health benefits of having access, it's especially the safe, lab tested or homegrown. You can grow your own. So, yes, please send them my way. I appreciate that.
Will do. Thank you so much for doing this work and sharing these stories. I love stories, and I love hearing people's stories. So I'm excited to catch those future episodes.
Thank you.
But to round this one out, you all can find me at www.yogawanauniversity.com, and Yogawana is spelled YOGAJUANA. So yoga and part of marijuana combined. And then I'm also on Instagram at Yogawana University. You can reach me via email, Drea at Yogawana University. YouTube channel coming soon, stay tuned. And then also, if you want to just do Black to Nature and non-cannabis related things, but retreats, yoga and adventure retreats, you can find me at BLKTOnature.com or at Black to Nature BLKTO Nature on Instagram. So that's
yes, thank you. And she's going to give me all of the links so I can put them in the description, of course. And it's Drea, not Drea. See, that's you know how it is. Somebody,
it's one of those names. It's one of those names.
Way over here, so I get it. I appreciate.
When I'm in Mexico, I say Andrea, and they be like, "Oh, okay."
Right, then they get it. Oh, okay, that's
exactly.
Beautiful.
We flexible.
yes. We tend to be. But if you are a Black woman who consumes, you're in the industry, or you are an entrepreneur, or you're even curious, You can reach me at Black Women Who Blaze on IG, also on Facebook at Black Connoisseurs. And then, of course, if you need help with consumption or managing your consumption, intentional use for your conditions, you can follow Afro Canna Holistic on IG or on Facebook, and you can reach me at www.afrocannaholistic.com, and all of that information will be in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I want to get to 2,022 subscribers before the year is out. Plus, we need visibility. We are here. We are here, and we ain't going nowhere. So thank you, Drea. Drea, see again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drea. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And until next time, I'm wrapping it up for Women's History Month. Thank you again for joining me. And I will see you on the flip side. Peace.